And I love The Sims. I also kind of hate it because, well, there's a list. But today we're not talking about that. We're talking about the life simulator aspect by creating the same person and letting her live her life from conception to dying of old age. In The Sims 2, The Sims 3, and The Sims 4. And we'll be comparing the three games. The original Sims is not included as they do not age in that game, so there's just no point. I'm also not using mods to enhance the experience as this would be unfair. The things I do for love. I do have builder custom content on The Sims 4 because I tend to use The Sims 4 build mode to design locations for my writing. I didn't want to stop doing that for however long this was going on.
So, I began the experiment with The Sims 4 as I already had it installed and set up because I had been using it. I don't have every Sims 4 pack, but I don't think any of the ones I'm missing would affect this project. I'm only missing a few stuff packs, werewolves, and my wedding stories. I think my wedding stories would help this project, but it's also very glitchy, so I probably wouldn't be able to use it either way. I started with a single sim and I used MC Command Center to start the pregnancy. I wanted one baby girl, but wound up with triplets. I signaled the other two. Pregnancy is boring. Just going to say it. There are mods that add things like going to get scans, getting abortions, giving the baby up for adoption, the possibility of miscarriage, baby showers, paternity tests. But in the vanilla game, you're just knocked up and then you have a baby. Normally this doesn't matter to me because my pregnant sim has her own life, but today I'm just focused on the baby. Birth is a little more exciting if you have get to work. You can go to the hospital and have a pretty disturbing surgery performed and your baby appears next to you in a little hospital cot. But only the first baby if you have multiples. And you get a birth certificate. In the base game you just stand in front of the cot and a baby appears. You can use mods to do different births like C-section or a water birth. You can get epidurals and possibly die of complications. But now I have my main experiment sim, Hayley Stark. Babies are also super boring. Do some cute things, and I believe this is the only main game where you can breastfeed. But the babies are objects confined to their cribs. And in the base game, they are ugly cribs that don't go with my furniture. Babies being objects is a huge complaint in the community, and I think they're kind of a waste of a life stage. They should either be fleshed out or deleted. Age them up quickly to save yourself. Now, toddlers are a lot more fun. You can now take control of your sim. Teen and older sims can do a lot of caring for the toddlers, but they are fairly independent right off the bat, which is a little unrealistic, but whatever. They have 5 skills: potty, imagination, communication, movement, and thinking. They can pretty much build these up themselves just by existing. The first level of potty, an older sim has to help them, but if you give the toddler the independent trait, they'll do all their own potty training. They can also just put themselves to bed or nap on the sofa, and if you leave food within their reach, they can feed themselves. The toddlers are also incredibly cute when they interact with family, pets, and even their giant teddy bears. Toddlers also begin to build their personality values, a feature that came with the Parenthood pack. Certain actions give or remove points towards different values, and when your sim becomes a young adult, they will gain traits based on this. The values are compassion, emotional control, manners, conflict resolution, and responsibility. We'll come back to those later as they're kind of just there as toddlers. While I enjoy toddlers, I do think they go from useless objects to pretty independent, if clumsy, walking people. Not realistic. I think this could be changed just by making the babies actual playable Sims, if limited and helpless ones, or adding a stage between the current babies and toddlers. The current version of babies works as newborn, the current version of toddlers works as the preschool age, but there's a step missing between them, a step between useless objects and tiny clumsy humans. While I was in the toddler stage, I decided to get a pet. With the cats and dogs expansion, you can create and adopt, well, cats and dogs. So I adopted a whippet puppy named Dakota and proceeded to cuddle her to death. Pets are a little lacking in Sims 4. You cannot control them or even select them to check their needs. There is a mod to make them controllable, and this makes them a bit more worth having. But as I did not have it installed, I found my puppy a little awkward. Get the mod. You are also limited to just cats and dogs unless you have My First Pet stuff, which allows you to get a hamster, but I refuse to get that pack on moral grounds. Cottage living does allow you to have cows, llamas and chickens, which you'll see later, and you can attract wild birds and bunnies to your lot. This should all be in one pack, not free, but whatever. Because Dakota was a puppy while Haley was a toddler, they grew up together and that's adorable. There were some issues though. Toddlers cannot care for pets. Mother Sim had to go to work to feed Haley, Dakota and the irrelevant siblings. The irony is, while Haley is pretty independent, the game insists on having a nanny or sending the kids to daycare while Mother Sim was at work. But as Mother Sim had cooked before leaving, Haley was set. Dakota's bowl was empty though, so I had to use cheats so she wouldn't run away or be taken off me. Toddlers do get a bit repetitive though, and eventually I was ready to move on. If you max 3 of the skills, your sim will age up with the happy toddler trait. If they max all 5, they will age up with the top-notch toddler trait, which is fun. Another fun fact about aging, you can do it whenever you want by baking a cake. Imagine that in real life. I'm so sick of not being able to drive. It's my birthday today. You can also throw a party, or just wait until they age up naturally. But if you do that, they get sad because no one remembers their birthday. It's very dramatic. Child Sims have 4 skills: motor, social, mental, and creativity. They also get their first aspiration. Child aspirations are based around one of the 4 skills, and completing the aspiration will give them the associated gifted trait. I chose the motor aspiration because I think it's the easiest. At this age, Sims will begin to randomly ask their adults for advice, the answers to which will affect the earlier mentioned character values. Child Sims, I believe, also have the most features from the Parenthood pack, with the character values, temporary traits called phases, and some fun new toys. Child Sims also start school, and with the Get Famous pack can join Drama Club, and with the Seasons pack can start Scouts. These all take place off screen, so it's a pretty boring time when you're just focused on one single sim. Child Sims also gain the ability to leave the lot, so we went and explored the world a little bit. Something I like about The Sims 4 is that all maps exist in the same save. This is pretty handy when an expansion's features are limited to the world that it came with, but we're not comparing world systems, at least not today. I have to admit, I got bored again around now. Hayley was nearly finished with her aspirations, so I decided to get that done and skip ahead to her teen years. But then I got distracted finding locations for my writing, which is a perfect example of the Sims 4 experience and why you should probably just pirate this game. Anyway, teens. A common critique of the game is that there is a missing stage between child and teen. In my opinion, child appears to be from the age of about 5 to 10, but teen is very clearly based around American high schoolers, which begins at around age 14, leaving us with around 4 years missing in our Sims' lives. I think a preteen age would be a transitional period where they lose interactions with toys and start gaining more of the teen interactions. They start being able to begin building up teen skills. They begin to experience things like first crushes, and I guess we'll go through some kind of sim puberty. Instead, we skip over all this and jump straight to short and slightly moody adults. In the base game, a common issue with teens is that they are basically shorter adults that can't woohoo. And there are mods that will let them woohoo. Luckily, I guess, 2 packs has helped flesh out the teen experience, and those are parenthood and high school years. These are features that probably should be included in the base game, or at least made up parts of 1 pack, along with some extra stuff for toddlers and children, but it is what it is. With Parenthood installed, we continue to use a lot of the same features that we used as a child, minus the toys. The high school years is really the ultimate teen pack. And if you play with a lot of teens, you will want this pack. This pack is also super buggy though. Whilst working fine for me, other players have had lots of problems and some are unable to even play. High school years adds some new after school clubs, including cheerleading, football, chess, computer and debate. These are off screen aside from sports day events, but we can go to school with them. You can use the already made school, which is pretty ugly and dull. Download one from the gallery, most of which are amazing. Love this community. Or just build one yourself. I wound up using one from the gallery as the one I made myself was not functioning. And I don't know why. Teens in the base game can also have part-time jobs and start having romantic relationships. High school years also add some teen aspirations that you change once you hit young adulthood. So I picked one for Hayley. She decided to be goal-orientated. I decided to make Hayley a cheerleader, aimed to be top of the class, and wanted her to find love. She is an overachiever. Didn't bother getting her a job yet though. We'll have time for that later. Also, this is where I realised I forgot about the dog. I do that a lot in this game and I don't know why. I don't have this problem with the other 2 Sims games, and I definitely don't have this problem in real life. My actual dog, Ricky, is a huge attention whore and he will not be forgotten. But Dakota, super forgettable. Anyway, Hayley had some great teen years. She was a cheerleader and she did find love with Alexander Goff. Marry rich babes. She wasn't top of her class though, only got a B. Got to do career day and prom, but all of a sudden we're 2 days to aging up. Where does the time go? You are supposed to be able to attend a graduation ceremony, but it never happened, so that's sad. Upon aging up, Hayley gained the good manners trait from the career values. This has unlocked some polite interactions, which is a fun addition. As a young adult, I sent Hayley to university using the University Living Pack. She got accepted to do a distinguished degree in biology and had an athletic scholarship. It was just run-of-the-mill uni life, and then I got a call that if I get married in 7 days, I'll get an inheritance. So I brought Alex back out. I also decided to try for a baby because I kind of wanted to see what happened if she gave birth while living in uni housing. For the record, she was kicked out. So I made a little starter house and moved Alexander in. I decided to make him work and care for the baby. But as for uni life itself, nah. I got bored. I did want her to finish her degree though. I had plans for that degree, but for now I want to shake things up. So I moved to Strangeville and started building a house for my growing family and to act as a home base while doing the Strangeville pack. Because this is the 1 pack where you actually have to live in the world to use its features. So now, I was going to play the Strangeville storyline. I haven't played it since I first bought the pack, so it was exciting. It's a fun pack that can shake things up. I also decided to have another baby that I would ignore. And I got chickens and bees. It was a fun period in Hayley's life. But soon I was bored again. So I decided to go on holiday. I used Jungle Adventure to go on adventures in the jungle. and I invited Lucas Munch so I could have an affair. That went well. Haley got pregnant with twins, and Lucas proposed. Kate let them get married and didn't make her break up with Alexander, so I guess I now have two husbands. That's another glitch in this game. I finally finished Haley's degree and she got a job as a doctor. The doctor career comes with get to work and is an active career, meaning you get to go with them. It's a bit more fun when you focus on just one sim. But I did about 2 days before I got bored, and I had Alexander have an affair with the butler. Also, Haley got a friends with benefits and got pregnant by him. Why is boredom turning this into an episode of Emmerdale? Once I was done with Strangerville and the house was built, I moved so I could work on a writing project build while playing, and I forgot to take chickens with me. So I got a llama, and he's my new favourite pet. Just so sassy. At this point, there isn't really much left to do. Just play her career, raise her kids, do some farming with cottage living, and get Alexander to impregnate any woman who happens to be passing while I'm bored. I am a menace. I said I wanted a self-sufficient lot. Off the grid and simple living, with chickens and a cow and lots of crops. I then got Haley pregnant by a ghost for her final baby because I wanted to see if it came out as a ghost baby, which for the record it didn't. This is where I realised it had become less about living a life and more to see what weird shit I can do in this game. Haley then aged up to elder and I realised why I never play with elders. They are basically no different than adults. I tried to make Haley and Alexander retire, but the game just would not recognise it. Then Alexander overexerted himself swimming and died. I wanted to check if there were special interactions with your Sims grandchildren, so I made eldest child Kyra have a baby. There are no special interactions, but like I said earlier, toddlers are cute. So Haley was having a nice time bonding with her new granddaughter, and then she had a heart attack and died right in front of her toddler granddaughter. So that was the end of Haley and the end of our life in The Sims 4. So, what did I think of the experience? Mainly, I think I'm a dumbass for paying so much for this game, and I'm a dumbass because I know I will keep paying for it. Please excuse how stuffy I sound during this section. I had to record on a day with a very high pollen count. So, The Sims 3. The Sims 3 is a good game, but it is quite demanding, and I think knowing if your computer will run it is basically voodoo. I basically gave up on making it work 3 or 4 computers ago and just moved on to The Sims 4, which is a bit more lower end computer friendly. But now I have a gaming laptop that can handle it, so I can play again. Sort of. It needs to be said that I don't actually have all 3 of the Sims pack. I did have Ambitions and Seasons, but I bought them as second-hand physical copies, and the previous owner had registered them, which meant that I couldn't get a digital copy, and laptop manufacturers stopped bothering with disk drives, so I just don't have them anymore. I never fancied Showtime, and I just never ended up buying Into the Future, so I don't have those. Maybe I'll get them another time. I also didn't bother with stuff packs, but I did have quite a bit of store content because I was able to earn free coins by watching ads, and I had no money. So I didn't install all of the content I brought from the store, but I do have some objects that I think are pretty essential, and I'll talk about those as they come up. For the world, I used Sunset Valley with the lots from the different expansions added in, and then I played a random family for a bit, just to let the story progression populate the town with some supernaturals, pets, and celebrities. This is what I find to be the easiest way to get all the content in one world, and it's kind of a pain. This is why I said earlier that I like the Sims 4 method of all the worlds existing side by side. There's just less setup involved to be able to use all of my packs. This time round, I decided to start with a married couple and just make them do the deed to get my pregnancy. So, meet Molly and Hayden. Also, take no notice of the weird spellings, that's just something I was doing to entertain myself. First thing to note is the pregnancy is dull in this game too. And also when pregnant Sims cannot go to work, which puts a spanner in the works when you're trying to climb the corporate ladder. Pregnant Sims don't really get to do anything special, but they will roll once to do things like read pregnancy books, have a certain gender, and eat spaghetti. Birth is fairly simple. Your sim goes into labour and can't do anything till baby is out. You can either send them to hospital or go home and wait for it to appear. If you kept your sim happy during pregnancy, you can pick the baby's first two traits. And so Hayley Stark is born once again. Now, babies. While it's a critique in The Sims 4 that babies are objects, I think it's safe to say that's the case here too. You can select the baby and see her needs, but you can't make her do anything. But these babies can be moved. They can be carried around the house, moved from crib to crib, placed in this adorable swing from the store. Get the swing, it's super cute. If you have a rocking chair from the store or supernatural pack, your adult Sims can cuddle the baby while rocking, which is also just adorable. I love it. I'm actually heartbroken that we can't do this in The Sims 4. If you have generations, there is a chance your baby will be sent to Teddy by a long lost relative. I was so glad this happened with Hayley because, yay, I can show you. As a baby, it just sits in the crib with them, which again, adorable. But we'll see more of this toy as Hayley grows up. I mentioned in the Sims 4 section that I feel toddlers skip a step, but I don't think that's so much the case here. Upon aging up, Hayley was crawling and had to learn how to walk. An adult can teach your toddler to walk, or you can get in this walker from the store, and the toddler can teach themselves. Your adults can teach them how to talk, or you can put them in this little playpen from the store, and they'll teach themselves with a mirror. Potty training, on the other hand, no way around that. Toddlers can also begin to build the music skill from a baby xylophone and logic from a little woodblock toy. The playpen also teaches charisma and logic. The final toddler item I find to be essential from the store is the changing table, and the reason for that is that it's how you bathe toddlers. In the other two games, you bathe toddlers in the bathtub, so I don't know what this was about. Back to the toy. If you leave the teddy in your toddler's inventory, they'll just pull it out randomly and play with it, which is super cute. If your toddler does this enough with the mysterious gift, a notification will come up saying they're building a special bond. We'll get back to that. There is one item that Generations came with this, not in The Sims 4, and people are upset about, and that is the stroller. Your sim puts the toddler or baby in a stroller and goes for a walk. It's super cute. It's just a little thing that improves parenthood. Now, it was during the toddler time that I got a horse, and it was not on purpose. Sims 3 Pets comes with horses, which is awesome because I love horses. But an issue that people have with horses is that somehow they get inside places without horse accessible exits. It gets stuck. And a wild horse got stuck in my butler accommodation. I used cheats to add the horse to the household in order to use another cheat to teleport the horse outside. So now I have a horse. I also got a bird who hangs out on a little perch. I will just take a moment to say that The Sims 3 Pets is a beefy pack with many animals, including cats, dogs, horses, big birds, small birds, reptiles, rodents, unicorns, and deer. You can also get chickens and a cow shed from the store, which I own but didn't install. and you can control your cats, dogs, and horses. In The Sims 4, we cannot select cats and dogs, but they take up a slot in the household. Hamsters are in a separate pack, and cottage living is basically a second pets expansion. If you're super into your pets, and especially if you want horses, this is probably the Sims game for you. But moving on, Child Sims. Now, when you remove the doll from your Sims inventory, it turns into an imaginary friend. Or it should. Mine disappeared. The one time I wanted it to happen. I normally find it absolutely terrifying. Generations added a lot of cool new toys and the ability to join scouts or ballet. I did ballet because ballet is cool. If you really want a ballerina sim, you can download a bar from the store, which your sim can learn moves on. I brought basically every toy to exist. My favourite is the dress up box because when I was a kid, I loved dressing up, and frankly, the only thing stopping me from doing movie accurate cosplays of Disney princesses is the lack of space for that kind of skirt. Now, of course, there's school. But there's a downside. This is the age in which parents begin punishing their children, which they do automatically, and they are very sensitive. Hayley went for her first day of school, didn't come home with a good grade, and got in trouble. The worst is when your sim is grounded because they are not allowed to leave the house, even for school. Then they get in trouble for skipping school. Oh, teen years. I do like Sims free teens. Parents teach them to drive, they can get their first jobs, there's prom, they go through rebellious phases. Parents tend to get on my nerves at this point, so I killed them. I soon realised I need them when my baby sister and animals were constantly demanding things and the pets were taken away. In The Sims 3, your sim can roll a potential lifetime wish, and after watching her parents die, Hayley wanted to become a journalist, which was odd, but I decided she should aim for a career in journalism. I also decided to take a break from responsibility and go to Egypt. I do love the World Adventures pack. The tombs are really fun, and there's always a chance of horrifying death, and we know Simmers love that shit. Anyway, teen years done, and Hayley became a young adult. First thing I did was head off to university again. In The Sims 3, university is a separate map cut off from the rest of the world. The world contains dorms which are free to live in or houses that you pay rent for. There's no option to live at home and commute, but I don't think this will work with this world system, so I'm okay with it not being included. The world is set up as though it's a college campus and the surrounding area, which is fun for immersion processes. After I finished Hayley's degree, I sent her home and she planted the forbidden fruits that I managed to get. The result is 3 plant children. Then she had a human baby, which marks the beginning of the parent arc. Upon aging up to a full adult, Hayley had a midlife crisis. Nothing particularly fun. She didn't want to blow all her savings on a fancy car or sleep with hot young men. She didn't want to move though, so I split the household in half for my own convenience. And then in the new household, I had more babies. This is also where I started having problems with the game crashing. Like I said, getting this game to run is basically voodoo. So I used cheats to make Haley an elder and sort of speed ran the last stage to make sure I finished this part of the project. Elders feel old. You can get them to walk with a stick and they sort of hobble. In fact, I found Haley so slow I had to move her out to a smaller house just so she'd get to work in time. Elders get some cute interactions like reminiscing to random Sims or showing off pictures of their grandkids. I will say though there are points where they clearly didn't make sure there were elder appropriate animations. I went to Egypt and got to see Hayley hobble to a trap and then backflip over it. I didn't catch it on camera, so just take my word for it. In the end, I decided not to wait for death. I finished Hayley's goal and sent her on one last adventure, and then I ended the experiment. Something was messed up in my game. Maybe it's just this game is demanding. Maybe it's an older game. Maybe it's just the Sims team got too ambitious for the engine. Or maybe I messed something up. I did find this life experience a bit more fleshed out and complete. I think a lot of this can be credited to generations and is helped by Pets University Life. I think just those 3 packs give you a more rounded experience than Sims 4 did, but I would not recommend this game to everyone as it is very demanding and running it is a bit hit and miss.
Sims 2, the old favourite, the classic. But the trouble with this game is that I find older games can have problems running on newer machines. And of course, this is one of those games. But it actually went really well on this new computer, so I was quite pleased. Maybe having a gaming computer helps. I don't really know how computers work. One of the cool things about this one is that I have every pack. For a while, EA gave out the whole collection for free, and I managed to grab it. I set up my world so I had all the lots I'd want, and plenty of Sims in various life stages because the rest of the world does not carry on without you in this game. Once again, I made myself a couple and then had them woohoo to get my pregnancy. Pregnancy is also boring in this game, but it is challenging because pregnant Sims are constantly hungry and tired. I had to use cheats just to keep her alive. Babies are a pain. The adults just leave them lying on the floor and I can't select them to find them, so they get lost. The adults also just leave bottles and nappies lying around. It's exhausting and disgusting. The toddlers here are pretty bare bones. Unlike the last 2 games, there was no way around teaching them to walk, talk, and toilet. They had a few toddler only toys and could play with some of the same toys as children. It does seem very basic, but the toddler stage only lasts 4 days, so I didn't actually have a chance to get bored. Children are pretty cute. I saw a few autonomous interactions, such as running up to meet their parents when they go home from work. And I discovered you can have your adults dance with children by having them stand on their feet. I also noticed that Hayley seemed to be building up a bit of a rivalry with her twin sister. Something I forgot about this game that I don't think made it to the next 2. If your Sims grades get too low, the social worker takes them away, which seems a bit harsh. Just because my kid's thick doesn't mean she's abused. Something that definitely didn't make it into later games because everyone wishes it did is private school. You invite the local private headmaster over for dinner, you show him around your house, and you try to impress him. It's absolutely chaotic. Children can use most things, they just have to do it on a step stool, which is both handy and adorable. I did go on holiday again on this playthrough, and interestingly, I didn't find anything in the vacation world that wasn't available for teens or children, which is a bit of a shock because I've gone so used to The Sims. Oh. But anyway, teens. In teen years, your sim can have their first job, first relationship. They can sneak out, although I got caught when I tried this. And they can start preparing for college. When your Sims go to college, they will only have 200 simoleons to pay their living costs unless you get a scholarship. You can get scholarships for having high skills, good grades, and even dead parents. I didn't kill my parents just to avoid student loans, not at all. Tuition isn't a thing though, and the dorms are free, so you don't actually need money, which I'm super jealous of because the paperwork for my student loan was an absolute nightmare. In Sims 2, you have to enroll in college before your sim ages up to an adult. Otherwise, you'll skip over young adulthood and can't go to college ever. I'm glad this changed in later games. As for college itself, it doesn't take long and it's not very hard. I didn't actually end up getting much of a chance to experience the non-class stuff. I realised around now that the speed of Sims 2 did make it hard to get bored. I just didn't have time. Perhaps the reason I got so bored in Sims 4 is that I've got my lifespan too long. Anyway, after graduating university, your sim will age up to an adult. Now is a part of your life where you focus on your career and reproducing, I guess. Because Hayley has a degree, she started her career at a higher level. Sims in The Sims 2 have a lifetime wish based on their aspiration. Hayley had the family aspiration, and her lifetime wish was to have 6 grandchildren. So I got to work having some kids who will provide those grandchildren. And using her drama degree, she joined the dance career. I was actually doing pretty well, and then suddenly Hayley died. I was making sure the dogs were eating, and suddenly she was dead. So I'm not sure what to do now. I think the lesson take from this game is that I am not ready to be a parent. I think it's interesting how all 3 of these games I felt like had their own strengths. I think I had a bit more of a wacky experience with The Sims 2. And I don't necessarily think it was as fleshed out as later games in the series, but I do think it is important to acknowledge that The Sims 2 was the first game in the series to have aging and all these different life stages. And what we have been given is pretty amazing. The Sims 3, I think, definitely took what The Sims 2 gave us and really built upon it. But it was limited by the game engine and the open world system and the fact that a lot of computers can't handle it. And the team obviously had some amazing ideas that they were not able to fully realize because of those limitations. And I think you can see some of where they wanted to take it. The Sims 4, though, it just doesn't seem like it is being given a chance to live up to its fullest potential. It has been turned into a cash cow, and it is a shame because I believe it could be great. And that is Hayley Stark living her life in 3 different Sims games. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and drop a comment saying hi. Don't forget to look after yourselves. Bye.